Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the stream, because it's been a couple weeks since we've done this. Not intentionally, last time round. Just everything was broken and on fire, so there was no stream. At least nothing that was recorded. There was something that happened, but the less said about that, the better. But we're back now. We're back for more of our Saturday stream, so hopefully nothing will go wrong this time. Everything will go according to plan. Let me just move Oddme here. It looks like I didn't resize that before the stream. But, I mean, aside from that, everything is going to go according to plan. Absolutely everything. Nothing will go wrong, I hope, and if it does, I mean, there probably will not actually be a recording, so no one will know about it. But if everything goes fine, there will actually be a video to upload. So, what do we do? Okay, so what are we doing tonight? I figured, you know, sometimes, if you haven't been to the stream before, there are times when, you know, we read a little story, you know, maybe not such like a hardcore video game or anything, but maybe a story that has choices that we can make in which we choose our own adventure or something like that. And this week, you know, I came across a short story that was put out by Clickhole. It's Death Attends the Matinee. So it's a little fun little thing that actually, that doesn't look resized quite right, but I will ignore it. I was supposed to fill up the whole image. But anyway, let's try out some Death Attends the Matinee. Little story that we're gonna read just together, you know? Just have a little fun time with it. But considering the atmosphere of this story, considering that it's supposed to evoke feelings of noir, things like that, I thought that maybe we should get some audio going as well, because this does not have any built-in audio. So I thought maybe we should start up some rainymood.com. And there we go. Hearing the rain come down. Yes, some noir, or however it is that's pronounced. Just occurred to me that I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Noir, something like that. And with that, maybe we should also get some appropriate music playing as well. Yeah, that's not bad. Alright, so with that set up, now let's start off with some Death Attends the Matinee. See how this goes. It begins with us just pressing start. And heading here. The dame walks into your office without knocking, and boy, does she look uneasy. She stares at you with piercing gray eyes and asks, "Are you Sam Stonemarrow? The private detective?" Chat, we have to decide, how did we answer the dame? One for yes. No, one for... Actually, no, it's one for no, two for yes, isn't it? Wait, actually, I'm not... I hope that's what people are voting as. I'm not actually sure now. Let's end that right now. Hold on. I just looked at the screen. Now, okay, let's do it in the order of choices that appear. Usually we would say one for yes and two for no, but since the order is no and yes, let's say number one for no and number two for yes. Let's think of it that way. Just to make sure that people are voting the way they intend to. Well, looks like we're going to be answering no. It seems like it's pretty overwhelming. Alright, we're going to say no. You've got the wrong guy. The dame immediately turns around and leaves. You sit back in your chair and look around at your empty office. Even though no one is there to see it, you give a thumbs up. The day passes without any other incident, and 50 years later, you die of old age. Well, I mean, I set all this up. I think that we have to do this a little longer, at least, than that, chat. Just a little bit longer. I kind of spent a lot of time trying to make this happen, so let's answer that again. Let's say that we are indeed Sam Stonemarrow, the private detective. Let's say yes, despite what you wanted to say, chat. I saw your name and office address spray-painted onto a stray dog outside, and I came straight to you. They laughed at me when I spray-painted that dog, but who's laughing now? It's free advertising that moves. Now, first things first. Why don't you tell me your name, sweetheart? Now, there's only the one choice, so we don't get a choice every time. My name is Vera Calypso, says the dame. See, now we know each other, Miss Calypso. Now we can do business. What's your business, Miss Calypso? Again, we only got one choice on how to respond to the dame. I'm afraid I'm being blackmailed, says Vera Calypso. Chat, we actually have a choice now. How do we want to respond back? Do we want to ask who would want to blackmail a doe-eyed dame like her? Or do we want to ask who's behind this nasty bit of business? I mean, it's basically the same question, chat. I mean, they're basically, we're asking for the same information, just in different ways. But it looks like the chat is saying number 2. We're going to ask who's behind this nasty bit of business. His name is Benedict Kane. He's a very wealthy man. A billionaire, in fact. We used to be close. And during that time, he managed to get his hands on a photograph of me writing the words, "I'm glad the Titanic sank," on a sleeping police officer. If that picture gets out, it's curtains for me. I'll have to go to jail for the rest of my life. Will you help me get it back, Mr. Stonemarrow? It's true, that's quite an offense. Only one choice here. Now wait a second, Miss Calypso. If Kane is so wealthy, why blackmail you? No offense, but alley cats like you and me don't exactly have the kind of dough to make a billionaire like Benedict Kane wet his mouth. Oh, it's not money Ben's after. He wants something else. You see, he recently bought a Komodo dragon egg from Indonesia for $250 million, only to find out that Komodo dragon eggs need to be incubated for no less than 7 months. Ben says that he'll release the photograph of me unless I sit on the Komodo dragon egg until it hatches. That's such a long time, and I don't want to do it. You have to help me, Mr. Stonemarrow. It's diabolical indeed. Well, Miss Calypso, I'd love to help you. But your story doesn't check out. You see, it's missing one crucial piece of information. And what's that, Mr. Stonemarrow? What's in it for me? Name your price, says Vera Calypso. And we have 2 choices. Chat, what is our price? Number 1 for $8,000 up front and $8,000 when the job's done, or just a lifetime of loose cigarettes. What do we want, chat? Which one? It looks like the chat's saying number 2, and I would agree with that. Just dump a handful of loose cigarettes on my front porch every morning for the rest of my life. You've got yourself a deal, detective, says Vera. She seems calmer now, calm like a tired ghost or a calm doctor. She starts to leave your office, but she stops at the door and turns. Oh, and if you're looking for Benedict Kane, you should try the Grand Picador Theater today at 3. There's a new play opening there called The Hogg Brothers Eat Each Other. Kane will be in a luxury skybox at the matinee showing. There won't be a better time to get to him. How do we want to respond to this, chat? Do we have our mind on the job, or do we want to know more about this play that Benedict Kane is seeing? Well, it seems that the chat's curiosity is getting the better of him. Let's ask about the play. Tell me more about this play. The Hogg Brothers Eat Each Other is the latest play in the beloved Hogg Brothers franchise, says the dame. It's the sequel to the theatrical classics The Hogg Brothers Murder a Wizard and The Hogg Brothers Run Over a Benevolent King. That sounds amazing. I'll be sure to swing by the Grand Picador Theater around 3. I'll see you soon, Miss Calypso. Call me Vera, she says before disappearing through the door. Chat, what do we want to do here? Obviously, we think that Vera Calypso is attractive. How do we express this, chat? We're a hard-boiled detective. How do we react to Vera Calypso being pretty? Apparently, we're gonna go with number 2. And we scream hubba hubba out loud. I guess she must be gone, though. And with that, the dame is gone. You're alone in your office now, with nothing to keep you company but a double of Cruel Boy's bourbon you've nursed down to less than a single, and the smoldering remains of a cigarette you just can't bring yourself to snub. But that's the way you like it. Friends are just well-meaning distractions, especially now that you've got a case. Chat, what do we do? Do we get started? Do we go to the theater? Or do we launch into a brooding monologue? We are a hard-boiled detective, by the way. Looks like the chat wanted to go with number 2. You walk to the window and look out over the city. You light up a cigarette and launch into a brooding monologue. This city doesn't run on electricity, it runs on corruption. And sometimes I wonder if I'm the only sap paying the utility bill. Chat, is that enough brooding? Do we need to brood more? I mean, we weren't given a time limit or anything, but maybe... It looks like the chat wants to brood more. More brooding is required. I've seen things transpire on these streets that would make the devil's skin crawl. I've seen crime and cruelty. I've seen a man force a baby to marry a bucket of soup. I've seen a man force a baby to marry a bucket of sewer water with a drowned rat floating in it. I've seen 2 policemen take turns throwing each other at a stray dog. I've stood by and watched the mayor of this city legally mandate an annual parade to commemorate the day he saw a fireman eat a spider that had 8 human middle fingers where its legs should be. Ugh, so much brooding! Dare we brood any more? Or have we brooded enough? It looks like we need to brood at least one more time. And I'm no better than anyone else in this town. Here I am, erasing some dame's past sins just for a bit of dough. Detectives like me aren't in the justice industry. We're in the forgetfulness industry. It's a smart business choice. There isn't always a demand for justice, but there's always a demand for forgetfulness. This concludes my brooding monologue. My diet consists entirely of cigarettes and bourbon, and I've never eaten a vegetable. Amen. Okay, it looks like that's finally enough brooding. Let's go to the Grand Picador Theater. No sense in waiting around. You take your cases like you take your bourbons, whenever you can get them, and polished off as fast as possible. You toss a revolver into your gun pouch and leave your office. You arrive at the Grand Picador Theater. You better go buy your ticket to the Hog Brothers Eat Each Other. Alright, how do we want to handle this, chat? Do we just buy the ticket like a normal person, or do we sneak into the theater by building a giant wooden horse and hiding inside of it? Looks like the chat is going for number 2. I mean, that does not seem to be an orthodox way of getting into the theater, but I guess we are the best private detective for a reason. Alright, that's how we're doing it. That's how we're playing this. You construct an enormous horse out of wood, knock on the door of the Grand Picador Theater, and then rush inside of the gigantic horse. The theater's ticket man opens the door and looks at the horse. "No, no," says the ticket man. "I didn't ask for a big horse. This must belong to somebody else." Alright, do we just remain motionless? Or do we just shout that we are a normal horse? It looks like the chat wanted to go with number 2. We wanted to try to fool the ticket man by shouting that we were a normal horse. I mean, just being silent would be too suspicious. "Yes, very normal, but still, I didn't ask for a horse," says the ticket man. "The postman must have delivered this horse by accident." He knocks on the door of the building across the street. What do we do, chat? Do we remain silent and motionless, or do we try to escape this horse? The chat was a little bit torn about which to do. Some of them wanted to stay inside the horse and go with the plan. Others felt that we had to abandon horse. In the end, the people deciding that we were going to remain silent were in the majority. A man enters the door of the building. He looks at the giant wooden horse. "I like this thing," he says, and he pulls the giant wooden horse into the building and shuts the door. Chat, do we tell him that we're in here? Or do we still remain silent and motionless? That maybe the plan could still work, as long as we don't blow our cover. The chat decided that they wanted to remain silent and motionless. We were in for a penny, in for a pound. You are in the man's bedroom now. The man's wife is here too. "The big horse is better than my wife," says the man. "Get out of here, wife! I'm married to the big horse now!" "I hate you, big horse!" shrieks the wife, and she lunges across the room and sets the wooden horse on fire. Chat, you wouldn't think that the horse would even fit in this room, but you'd be surprised. Do we yell out? Do we say that we're in here? Do we remain silent and motionless like we have been? It seemed that the chat decided that we were going to finish what we started. We were silent and motionless so far. We weren't going to blow it now. Not even with the horse on fire. The flames consumed the giant wooden horse, and you were burned alive. The next morning, the front page headline of the newspaper says, "Nation mourns loss of bigger than usual horse." On the last page of the same paper is a headline that reads, "Parents of missing detective urge city not to look for him." The end. Well, chat, things did not go quite as we planned. We could restart at the checkpoint, we could start over. I mean, we know this is the true ending, but I guess we should probably see how things might have gone. We're back here. The checkpoint is at us trying to buy the ticket. I mean, I guess we might as well see what would have happened if we actually tried to buy the ticket. You walk up to the box office. The man working there is wearing a t-shirt that says, "I went hog wild at the Grand Picador Theater." One ticket to the Hog Brothers Eat Each Other and step on it. "Oh, Mr. Stonemarrow, we already have a ticket waiting for you," says the man at the box office. He gives you a grin so big you could eat dinner off of his teeth. "Miss Vera Calypso took the liberty of reserving you a seat to his afternoon's matinee." The box office guy hands you your ticket. Well, chat, how do you want to respond to that? Do we be all cordial like an actual civilized person, even though we know that that part of us died many years ago? Or do we just glower at the ticket man and let him know that he's just as much of a scumbag as any one of us in this dead city? It looks like the chat is pretty torn about this. Torn like we were torn inside over whether or not we even had a reason to keep going. Not after what happened 5 years ago. Not after her that led us down the road that brought us here where we are today. In the end, the chat decided that if we were going to try to pretend to be a human being, maybe we should at least... I can't tell which way this is going to go now. We'll just end it here. Maybe at least we should let's just say nothing. Alright, you have your ticket. You better go head inside the theater now. The play is going to start any minute. You take your seat in the Grand Picador Theater. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see Benedict Kane sitting in the luxury skybox, just like Vera said he would be. Now the lights go down and the curtains come up. A hush falls over the audience. The Hog Brothers Eat Each Other is about to begin. Chat, what do we do? Do we watch the play? Or do we skip the play and snoop around? If we watch the play, we can keep our eyes on Benedict Kane, but if we snoop around the lobby, maybe we could make our way up to his luxury box, which is where we're going to need to go anyway. But it looks like the chat decided that we were going to stay in our seat and watch Benedict Kane as he enjoys the night's entertainment. The Hog Brothers Eat Each Other, a tragedy. Enter Gordon Hogg. He looks out over the audience and speaks. "Here I am, Gordon Hogg, the eldest of the 3 Hogg brothers. I love my brothers too much. I just can't get enough of them. In fact, I only like doing 3 things: looking at my brothers, thinking about my brothers, and dreaming that an insane doctor is suing my brothers and me together." Chat. Do we keep watching the play? Do we look around the theater? Or do we leave the play and snoop around? It looks like the chat decided that they wanted to keep watching the play. I mean, it was the best entertainment that we had seen in a long time. Hark! I hear the approach of a man. By the sound of the footsteps, I can tell that it is my middle brother, Prentice Hogg. Once again, chat, we have to decide. Is it time for us to look around, or do we keep watching what's going on the stage? The chat decided that they could not tear their eyes away from the play. Hello, my brother, Gordon Hogg. I love you too much. Hello, Prentice Hogg, my brother. I was just thinking of you and dreaming of you at the same time. I love you too much. How are you today? I have a fatal and incurable case of brother fever. Other than that, I am extremely strong. I just came from our 3-tiered bunk bed, where I lay sleeping in the middle bunk, dreaming that my two brothers were taking turns picking me up and putting me down for 1,000 years. Prentice Hogg, my brother, that dream about your brothers is so good. That dream is my king now. I hate God and love my two brothers. Thank you for your understanding that you are my brother named Gordon Hogg. My love for my brothers is the only thing stronger than my hatred for God. Chat, do we keep watching the play? Do we keep watching this play? I mean, those Hogg brothers certainly do seem to love each other. The chat decided they wanted to keep watching the play. Hark! I hear the sound of a man's legs doing a walk. From the sound of the footsteps, I know it is the youngest of the Hogg brothers, our beloved brother named Whipple Hogg. Chat, do we want to see what Whipple Hogg is all about? I mean, it could be useful information for the case. It looks like that the chat wanted to keep watching this play. Hello, my two brothers. I love you too much. Your names are Gordon Hogg and Prentice Hogg. I wish I could kill God. Hello, Whipple Hogg, my brother. When it comes to dreaming about you, I am the world's champ. I love you too much. Our mother gave birth to us at the same time, but we are not triplets. This is a pretty lengthy play, chat. Do we continue on watching it? It seems that the chat knows what the chat wants, and what the chat wanted was to keep watching the play. Whipple Hogg, my brother, how are you feeling? My brother fever threatens to claim my life at any moment. Other than that, I am endlessly powerful. I have just come from our 3-tiered bunk bed, where I lay sleeping in the bottom bunk, dreaming that I was getting a haircut from both of my brothers at the same time. Whipple Hogg, you are my brother. Your dream is magnificent. When your brothers were finished cutting your hair, what did you do with the hair? I dumped the hair on the floor of room 242 of the San Torero Hotel. I wish a magician would rip God in half. This is quite a play. I can see why these Hogg brothers are so popular in this town. The chat decided that they wanted to keep on watching the play. So entranced were they by the Hogg Brothers 3. These have been the nice and brother-haunted dreams of the glorious Hogg brothers. May we never die, for if we do, we will surely go to heaven, the house of God the monster. We love each other too much, and now we will go eat each other. Amen. The Hogg brothers exit. The sound of tearing flesh, snapping bones, and 3 mouths chewing are heard from off stage. Well, it looks like we can keep watching the play, but it sounds like the play is over. I mean, I don't know what there would be to watch. Alright, but it looks like the chat wants to keep watching the play, even though the play's done. The actors take a bow. The Hogg brothers eat each other has come to an end. The audience is on its feet. The play is receiving a well-deserved standing ovation. chat. Do we look around the theater, or do we file out of the theater with the rest of the crowd? The chat decided that they wanted to look around the theater and see if Benedict Kane could be found, I suppose, if we even remember why we're here in the first place. "Do you mind?" says the man sitting next to you as he scribbles something in a notebook. "You are not allowed to see what I'm writing because it is very important and good." How do we respond to this man, chat? I didn't think that we were trying to look at his notebook in the first place, but apparently he has taken offense. The chat decided that they wanted to be polite and see if we could find out any information from this writing man. "Okay, hello. What is your name and occupation?" "My name is Peter Leroy. I'm a critic for Nautical Stage magazine, the only theater magazine written entirely by former sailors for a general audience of non-sailors. Perhaps you've read my column?" How do we respond to that? This seems like an extremely specific magazine. It looks like the chat wants to respond by saying that we've heard of this magazine and this reviewer before. "Oh, right. You're the one who gives every play a 5-anchor rating, no matter what." "It's not my fault that I've never seen a bad play. Now, if you don't mind, I need to finish writing notes. Why don't you leave me alone?" We're gonna leave the theater either way, chat. Do we shrug, or do we scowl? I mean, I don't even know if he's looking at us, so it might not matter, but it looks like the chat wanted to scowl and leave the theater. You step out into the lobby. The rest of the audience leaves the theater. They can't stop talking about how amazing the play was. You hang back and look around, though. A sleuth's night doesn't end when the curtain falls. In fact, that's the exact moment a sleuth's night begins. You glance around the empty lobby. You're on the lookout for anything that seems amiss. But your ears slurp up the sweet clue juice your eyes were craving. You hear muffled cries for help coming from somewhere nearby. Do we investigate or ignore the cries? Do we ignore the sweet clue juice, or do we take advantage of this delicious juice that our ears have drank? It looks like the chat wanted to investigate the cries. We are a PI after all. Or at least, that's what it says on our door. So I figure that's what we should do. It sounds like the cries for help are coming from behind this door. Slowly and quietly, you approach the door. You're not sure what awaits you behind this door, but you don't care. You're thirsty for peril, and you'll drink up whatever danger comes trickling out of this room. It sounds like all of our orifices are thirsty tonight, chat, so we are going to drink as much as possible. Very neat and good. This closet has a tied-up man inside of it. As a private detective, you see these things all the time. You know exactly how to handle this. Chat. Do we untie the man like a strong hero who drinks bourbon? Or do we apologize to the man for interrupting him while he was in the middle of being tied up in a closet, and then leave? What would be the proper action for a PI, chat? What would he do? It was pretty close. The chat wasn't entirely sure on how a detective should handle this. So the detective had to think to himself that he was going to count down 3, 2, 1... and then decided he was going to untie the man like a strong hero who drinks bourbon. You stoop down and untie the man. He stands up and looks you right in your clue-finding eyes. You were expecting gratitude, but strangely, this guy doesn't seem too friendly. "Thanks a lot, fella," says the man in a voice so cold you could store salad in it. "I have a gift for you, as a token of my appreciation." "And what might that be, buddy?" Whoop. Not how that was supposed to go. Okay, there we go, okay. All of a sudden, the man reaches into his gun pouch, and you find yourself eye to eye with the death-spitting mouth of a revolver. Chat, how do we respond to this? Do we ask him what's going on here? Well, I mean, both choices, we are asking what's going on here. We're doing this whichever way we go with. Looks like the chat decided that they wanted to go with option 2. Well, this is a fine shake of the whippet. 1 minute I'm freeing you from a tight scrape. The next you've got me within kissing distance of your bullet hose. What gives, friend? "I'm afraid this was my plan all along," says the man. "You see, I work for Benedict Kane. It's my job to trap detectives by pretending to be in trouble and then killing anyone who comes to help me. I make $50,000 a year to do this job, which is a huge amount of money. You should have known better than to come snooping around Benedict Kane. I'm afraid your investigation ends here. Goodbye, detective." Chat, what do we do? This man, who makes a huge amount of money, is about to shoot us with his gun hose. Do we just say goodbye? Like a true hero who drinks bourbon? Or do we try to buy ourselves some time any way we can? The chat decided that we were going to appeal to the good graces of this assassin by asking if we could smoke one last cigarette before we die. "All right," says the man. "But don't try any funny business." Chat. Is it time for funny business? It looks like the chat decided that if this wasn't the time for funny business, what is? Suddenly, out of nowhere, you try a bunch of funny business. "No! Stop!" screams the gunman, but it's too late. Your funny business sends him blasting through the ceiling and into the sky. "I told you not to try any funny business!" He cries out in a voice that grows fainter and fainter as he disappears over the horizon. You turn without a word and leave him to whatever fate awaits him. We light up a cigarette and walk out of the room without looking back. With the gunman thoroughly defeated, you return to the lobby. It looks like this case is more dangerous than you had anticipated. You better confront Benedict Kane and get those compromising photos of Vera Calypso back. That is what we were here to do to begin with, so I guess we should go to the luxury skybox and confront Benedict Kane. If he's still here, and apparently he is. You walk into the luxury skybox with the confidence and swagger of a brave hero who drinks bourbon. Benedict Kane is waiting for you, flanked by a pair of silent bodyguards. He has the hardened, loveless look of a man who was not to be trifled with. "I've seen you," says Benedict Kane as he puffs his cigar. "You've been snooping around. I'm not sure I like that. Who are you? And what is it that you want?" Chat, how do we respond to this? It looks like so far the chat is thinking that maybe nothing we could say would do any good, so maybe we should just say nothing. Ah, the strong, silent type, says Benedict Kane as he puffs a smoke ring that dances nonchalantly towards the ceiling. I certainly respect a man who knows when to keep his mouth shut, but I think right now you better speak up and tell me who you are and what you're after. Chat, what do we do? This chat was the kind of chat that really committed itself to a plan once we decided what we were going to do. They figured that if we were going to keep staring at this man, we might as well go all the way and see what happens. I'm growing tired of this nonsense, sir, says Kane. Now, state your name and your business, or you will live to regret your disrespect, though you won't live much longer than that. Chat, do we continue with our disrespect? Benedict Kane seems to be having none of it. It seemed that the chat decided that they continued wanting to disrespect Benedict Kane. Sir, I am growing impatient. Now speak, or there will be consequences. Chat. Once again, what is the way to go? The chat decided that Benedict Kane was probably bluffing. He was probably bluffing. Probably. Are you mocking me, sir? Screams Benedict Kane. Do you have any idea who you're trifling with? If you won't speak willingly, then I have terror in store for you that will rip a scream out of your mouth by force. Now, I'll give you one last chance. Who are you? And what do you want? Chat? Have we impressed Benedict Kane enough with our silence? Or is it time to talk? No, it seems the chat is deciding that we have not impressed him enough with our silence and that we will continue on just being silent. Very well, says Benedict Kane. You had your chance to cooperate. He turns to his bodyguards. Release the diver, he tells them. The diver. Chat, do you want to wait silently for the diver, or do we apologize and say that we'll talk? The chat wants to wait silently for the diver. A hatch in the floor opens to reveal the furious churning ocean. Out of this furious sea crawls the diver. He climbs out of the hatch and into the theater, and with his old-fashioned scuba suit clanking with every step, begins walking right toward you. I'm married to all the fish, the diver says to you in a booming, otherworldly voice as he gets closer and closer. Oh no, chat! Do we stay stoic and await whatever the diver is going to do? Or do we try to escape? It looks like the chat decides they're going to stay silent no matter what. That's quite admirable, though I don't know if it's advisable. In a few moments, the diver is upon you. He grabs you and hoists you over his shoulder.
Now I will show you how.
he says in his deep and thundering voice.
I will show you how I am the one who is married to every fish there is.
With your flailing body slung over his shoulder, the diver leaps back through the hatch in the floor and into the ocean, dragging you with him into the icy water. It looks like all we can do is abandon ourselves to the will of the diver. The diver carries you down to the farthest depths of the ocean. A fish swims by.
Look at this thing,
says the diver, pointing to the fish.
I'm married to that thing. It is my wife forever. I kiss it a lot. I have existed before time began.
Chat. How would a real bourbon-drinking hero detective react to this situation? It looks like that the chat has decided that they are going to continue being silent, even when confronted with the diver. The diver carries you deeper into the sea. A shark swims by.
This wet idiot is also my wife,
says the diver, pointing to the shark.
I married this thing at the dump, and the second the wedding was finished, the priest killed himself right there at the altar. I hate this thing. It is my wife until the sun explodes.
Well, chat, we've met a couple of his wives so far. Do you want to keep meeting them? Or do you want to give the diver a thumbs up to indicate you understand him and are on his side? It looks like the chat wants to go that way. The diver carries you deeper still into the ocean. A humpback whale swims through the gathering dark, and its song floats eerily across the deep. The diver points at the whale as it passes.
This music monster is another example of what is my wife,
the diver explains, as his booming, otherworldly voice echoes out across the sea.
I have no idea what it is, but I married it in a shed. Every day, this thing and I hold hands and I say to it, I hate you. Our bond is endless. I can't wait for you to finally die. You are everything to me.
A moment passes.
I am eternal,
the diver adds. Chat, while you're voting for this, hold on. This is going longer than I expected it would. It looks like the chat wants to use the last of our air to tell the diver that whales are not fish. This goes on for eons. The diver drags you deeper and deeper into the sea, and even after you've drowned, he carts your skeleton around, pointing to every single thing that swims in the ocean and telling you,
that is my wife. I can never die. That swimming catastrophe is also my wife. Look over there. That thing is my wife as well.
Countless millennia later, the diver completes his quest of showing you all the fish, and telling you that they are his wife. At that time, he simply drops your skeleton on the ocean floor and walks silently onward through the sea. He forgets you almost immediately. The end. You know, I didn't realize being a detective was so difficult. Okay, so if we click on go back to the last checkpoint, we do come back to this scene. Alright, so I think that we should probably not stay silent. I think we should go for 1 or 2 here. There are some people who are still voting for number 3, but even if number 3 wins, I am going to ignore it. It looks like number 1 is going to win. Never mind who I am, Kane. You have photographs that belong to Miss Vera Calypso, and you'd better hand them over. Well, whoever you are, I'm afraid I can't part with those pictures. I need them so I can blackmail Ms. Calypso into sitting on my Komodo dragon egg until it hatches. What do we say next, chat? We already knew about Benedict Kane's diabolical plot to make Vera Calypso sit on the Komodo dragon egg until it hatches. So how do we handle this situation? How do we convince Benedict Kane that this is not the way to go? The chat's voting for number 2. I don't want it to come to this, but if you won't hand over the pictures, I may have to resort to some more insistent avenues of persuasion, if you get my drift. Is that so, Mr. Stone Marrow? Says Kane, rising from his chair. He grins. I'm not sure my guards would be very happy with you if you did that. The 2 men standing behind Kane look at you with grim eyes and crack their knuckles. They definitely look like they know a thing or two about breaking bones. One bodyguard is wearing an entire alligator skull around his neck on a golden chain, and the other one is wearing a t-shirt that says, "My best friend Jeremy killed the alligator whose skull he's wearing around his neck with bare hands, and I've killed an alligator too." I don't think that's what... It didn't look like they were wearing that, so I guess these pictures are just imagination, like, you know, imaginings of what the situation is actually like, and not actual photos. Alright, what do we do? Do we try to convince them that there are more reasonable avenues, or do we reach into the gun pouch, also known as a holster, and pull out the revolver? Looks like the chat is saying that it's gun time. With a grim look, you pull into your gun pouch and pull out a revolver. A gun? Screams Benedict Kane. He turns to his guards. Guards, throw me to safety! Acting swiftly, each guard immediately grabs one of Kane's arms, and together they hurl him out the window. Goodbye, detective! Kane cackles as he flies out the window. He falls hundreds of feet to the hard pavement below. His body splatters in a shower of viscera. Only one option we can do. The guards walk silently out of the room. You're left alone, pointing your revolver at nobody at all. With Kane dead, you'll never find out where the pictures are. You're out of clues. You're out of suspects. You're out of time. You return to your office, defeated. The next day, the front page of the newspaper has a picture of your parents getting matching tattoos of a heart with the words, "My son did a bad job," written inside of it. The headline reads, "Parents of worst detective get appropriate tattoos." The end. Chat. You're kind of a horrible detective. We need to get the photos back. Alright, there's only one option that we can take now. Actually, did we go with number 1 here? I think we did. Let's try number 2 and see what happens. Ah, so you're that private detective whose name is written on all those stray dogs around the city, says Kane. Well, Mr. Stone Marrow. Sorry. That voice is getting to my throat. I'm afraid I can't part with those pictures. I need them so I can blackmail Miss Calypso into sitting on my Komodo dragon egg. So we went with number 2 last time. I'm sorry, yes, it's all that Linda I've been smoking. Water? I have a little bit of water right here. Drink some water. Okay, I think we went with number 2 last time, so let's go with number 1 and see what happens. I need the lizard to eat me, says Benedict Kane. I've so much money, but wealth has brought me no joy. Only getting eaten by the lizard can make me happy, and so you see, I can't part with Vera's photographs, or she'll never sit on the lizard egg, and then the lizard will never hatch out of his egg and eat me. Yeah, I've seen those internet sites. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a touching story, Kane, but I'm still going to need you to hand over those photographs. Otherwise, I might need to take them from you by force. Uh-oh, we've been here before. Well, we know what happens if we reach into the gun pouch, so let's try to reason with them. Now, hold on a second, gentlemen. Let's be reasonable. I'm sure we can negotiate an agreement we're all happy with. I'm afraid it's too late for reason, Detective, says Kane. He snaps his fingers, and his guards begin walking towards you. Jeremy and Vincent Sr. here are going to kill you now. Alright, chat. How do we do this? Do we, specify that we want to be killed by being ripped in half? Or do we try the smoking one last cigarette tactic again? It worked well last time. The chat wants to go for one last cigarette. The guards look at each other and shrug. Sure, why not? You'll be dead soon anyway, says Jeremy. We reach into our pocket and pull out a cigarette. With emotion so calm and unperturbed it borders on sleepwalking, you light up a cigarette. The beautiful, life-giving smog fills your lungs and stimulates your brain. Now, your mind is clear, and you've developed a plan to get yourself into this tight scrape. Only one option, only one plan we can go with, chat. Hey fellas, before you kill me, I just gotta know, is there any truth to the rumor going around that you two don't know any bird calls? Oh my! What did you just say? Screams Jeremy. He's so angry he punches a hole in the wall. Who says we don't know any bird calls? Shouts Vincent Sr. Rage has turned the veins in his neck into pulsating cobras of fury. What about it, chat? It looks like the chat wants to go all in on this. Relax, guys. It was just something I read on the cover of Muscular Bodyguard Quarterly. Muscular Bodyguard Quarterly? Screams Jeremy. That's one of the top periodicals for muscular bodyguards. We'll be the laughingstock of our industry. It's a goddamn lie, shrieks Vincent. Tears are streaming down his face. We know so many bird calls. Relax, fellas. If you know so many bird calls, then why don't you just prove it and put these nasty allegations to rest? Okay, we will, says Jeremy angrily. We'll do all the bird calls we know. The two guards start perfectly executing an extremely long string of different bird calls. "He is a sparrow," says Vincent Sr. "Boss, boss, boss, boss." "Yeah, and he is a pelican," says Jeremy. "Croom, croom." On and on they go. They flawlessly imitate birds of hundreds of birds from all regions of the world. Finally, they finish, and they look at you with smug grins. Which way do we go, chat? Looks like the chat feels that nothing we could say would match the level of how impressed we are at that performance. So we're going to give them a round of applause. Suddenly, the growing thunder of distant wing flaps fills the air. The floor starts to shake, and the sound of 100,000 disparate beaks squawking in unison floods the room. "Oh no!" screams Jeremy. "We did too many bird calls!" Vincent Sr. moves towards you with murder in his eyes. "You little rat! You tricked us!" He tries to grab you, but it's too late. The windows burst open, and millions of different birds from all over the world fly into the room. The guards try to fight them off, but there are too many. Within seconds, the birds peck all the meat off their bones, and then one weird pelican also eats their bones? The bird flies back out the window as quickly as they flew in, leaving you alone with Benedict Kane. "Sorry, Kane. Looks like your muscle quit on you without giving them their 2 weeks' notice. Now, why don't you hand over the photographs?" "Okay, you win, detective. Just don't hurt me," says Benedict Kane. He reaches beneath at his desk and pulls out a treasure chest. "Everything I stole from Vera is in this chest." What about it, chat? Do we give our pleasantries and leave? Or do we just remain silent, as we have been all this time? The chat was rather torn about which way to go. And the Max Payne music finally stopped. So I guess we'll have to restart that. Alright, it looks like the chat decided that if we were going to be silent so far, let's just end it on that same note. Night has fallen outside the Grand Picador Theater. You stand in the lamplight with the treasure chest full of photographs. It feels heavier than you thought it would, but then, anything secret always seems to have an extra weight to it. "Hey, Sam," says a familiar voice. It's the Dame. What about it, chat? What do? We've conquered Benedict Kane. Now it's time to close the business with the Dame. Hubba hubba. "Yes, hubba hubba," says Vera Calypso. "Hubba hubba forever and ever. It's good to see you again. Do you have what I asked you for?" Do we respond, chat? Or do we remain silent and just give her the chest?